This is the AutoThink Admin Dashboard view. This demo, we are going to show you the functionality of your dashboard, how to set up drivers, how to set up users, how to manage appointments, firms, service centers, reports, and setup. We're going to start here under appointments. This is a broad view of your entire dashboard, so you can see how many pending jobs, allocated, in progress, ready to deliver, overnight stay, and completed, and how many drivers are active and inactive in your system. More on that later. Here's where you'll see an overview of all of your appointments. Now let's talk about your appointment panel. This is a very important panel. This is where you'll receive all the information about the appointment and actually allocate drivers to specific appointments. Up at the top here, you have statuses. These are all the different statuses of jobs in your system. All pretty self-explanatory. Pending means the customer booked, but there hasn't been a driver allocated to it just yet. Allocated means that the first leg has been allocated, but not necessarily the second leg. In progress, that means the first leg has been allocated and now the vehicle is at the service center. Completed means job is done, customer has car, everyone is happy. Let's talk a little bit about allocating rides. AutoThink has implemented auto allocation. What that means is when a employee at the dealership, whether the service advisor, BDC representative, or cashier, goes into the system and dispatches the vehicle, marking its status as complete, a driver is automatically allocated to that service. A driver that is within a certain range or has no other services happening. If that driver does not accept that allocation or that job, it will wait 5 minutes and then try to reallocate to that driver 2 more times for a total of 3 times for a total of 15 minutes. If at the 3rd time they do not accept that ride, it will be kicked back into the system and it will need to be manually dispatched. So let's kind of walk through how you dispatch a ride. It is AutoThink's recommendation that whoever is the admin of the system allocates rides either late the day before or early the morning of the actual service. There's a reason behind this. If the driver is not trained and he accepts a ride the night before the service, the customer actually receives a text and or email saying that their driver is on the way, which obviously this can cause a lot of confusion. So it's important that your drivers understand not to accept a ride until they're on the way. And you can get more information on that in our driver app training video. So let's look here. We have all of our appointments. Let's look at pending so we can actually allocate a ride. So I have my ride, I need a driver for that ride. So I need to assign that to a driver. If I click assign, you will see you can assign a driver for the pickup and the drop off. Sometimes the same driver that picks up a vehicle may not be the same driver who drops off a vehicle. So that's why there's 2 options here, dividing a service into 2 legs. Now, if you know that the driver that's going to pick it up is going to be the same driver to pick it up, to drop it off, then that's real simple. You just click the same driver, then click assign, assigning that driver to the duties of pickup and drop off. Now, let's say that you actually did that, but find out that one of your drivers has to leave early, or he can't be the same driver who picked it up to drop it off. Maybe the car had to stay overnight. Then you go to in progress. So if you click in progress here, you'll see assign. You click that. This car is already at the dealership. So Honey Donowitz on the first pickup has already dropped off the vehicle. Now Honey Donowitz is assigned to pick up this vehicle in the drop off, but let's say she's not there, or it's the next day, or whatever the circumstance may be, you can actually click reassign and it will reassign to another driver. Give you the option to reassign to another driver. Got it? Notify. Notify is a really cool tool that we have built into the system, which actually allows you through the Appointment Admin Dashboard to communicate with the driver. So if you need to give the driver specific instructions that the customer gave you, or if you didn't know when you booked the appointment that there was a gate code and now you know, or if the person, the name on the account is no longer the person who will be there to hand the vehicle over to the driver, you can let them know that it's actually the wife, the husband, the child, whoever. So this is a great tool to communicate directly with the driver on that specific appointment. Info is where you can see all of the information about that ride that's already happened within the process. So here you see that we've already dropped the car off, so that means we picked it up. So that means that we've taken pictures of the vehicle, so you can refer and cross-reference the pictures at your service bay to the pictures that AutoThink picked up. And also you can just see customer information, appointment details, things like that. Track actually enables you to track the trajectory that the driver took to pick up the customer's vehicle and then to drop it off. Also a cool tool. You have edit and delete here as well. Obviously, if a vehicle is in progress, you do not want to delete it. You can, and there's reasons why that happens. For example, the customer decides that, hey, you know what, forget about it, I'm going to come pick my car up. That can happen. But just remember, if you delete, then that appointment is no longer in the system and it will be impossible to allocate a driver to pick it up. Okay, let's look at like different statuses of appointments. So what you have here is you have your regular icon that just signifies that this is a regular service. Whenever you see this orange driver icon, that means that that is a loaner service that is attached to a parent appointment. We get more into that in the actual appointment dashboard training. But for your reference point on the back end, when you see there's two names here that are the same name, and that's because this is the parent and this is the child. And in this case, this car stayed overnight, so the customer requested that a loaner be brought out to him, and that's why you see this appointment in here as well. So that really sums up the functionality of the appointment tab on your admin dashboard. Thanks. Your firm is if you were to have a auto group that had multiple dealerships. In most cases, you're going to just have your firm and your service center as the same information. So firm is all of the pertinent information about your dealership. If you see here, this is where you add your logo, your contact information for the person in contact of the account, and the address. This logo is important because this is the logo that will show up on your appointment user dashboard and show up on the link that goes to your customer when they track where the driver is in the process. So really important to make sure that logo looks a little wonky here, comes out great on the screen and on the mobile. Service center is where you're going to get into a little bit more detail, and this is actually very important for a dealership to manage their driver network. Number one, let's just look right here at price band. Price band is what you're charging your customer for the AutoThink service. In the example we see here, there's no charge to the customer from 0 to 20 miles. Then you notice it's $1.50 for every mile after that. And you can actually, through your service center, decide or set the radius of how far you're willing to go for your customers. And let me show you that real quick. You see here, service available radius, 300 miles. That's where you set that for your price band. So that's really the base overview of what's important when setting up a service center is your price band. That's really important. Address, really important. That's what's hard-coded in the back of the system as where the service center is for your appointments. Let's go to reports. Reports are really simple. You can look at your services by date. You can look at your driver mileage, see how long it took them to do a ride, how far it was from the service center, services per service center. So if you were a firm and you had multiple dealerships under your firm, you could see how many services were done per dealership. And then we have cancellation reports, which, before, when we had to cancel a service, you can see the reasons why and how many canceled. And that's a good way to kind of get a good feeling of why people are canceling, if there's any reason that you can control that as a dealership. Let's talk about setup. Setup is kind of important. There's a couple key features in here that are going to help you really fine-tune your dashboard and your driver network. Zones will always come preloaded, with AutoThink's adding your zone, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. We have vehicle, make, and model. Here, you can actually go in and you can delete maker models if you want, but most service centers, even factory, still service other vehicles, so you probably want to leave this alone. You have your vehicle, make, and model. If a new model comes to market and you need to add it, you can do that as well. Typically, AutoThink will add new makes and models as they come out in real time, so that's not really a feature you're going to have to deal with unless you just want to clear out things in your drop-down menus for expedience. Settings. Settings is very important, and let's talk about that for a second. So like I mentioned earlier, you're always picking up a customer's vehicle in a range from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Well, if you are managing your own driver network, this is a good way to limit the amount of services your dealership will pick up an hour through your dealer scheduler. So here you see 7 a.m., there's a number 2. That means that your dealership will pick up 2 cars an hour from 7 to 8 a.m. And you see it goes all the way across here, all the way to 4 p.m. Let's say you have limited staff, you know that you do most of your business in the AM, so you want to have your last pickup through your scheduler be 1 p.m. Then you would just go to 4 p.m., make it 0, 3 p.m., make it 0, 2 p.m., make it 0, and then 1 p.m. 2 being your last hour pickup. That's a really cool feature that allows you to manage your workflow throughout the day. Now, let's look at virtual clustering. Virtual clustering, it gets kind of into the weeds of how the system on the back end manages your labor and workflow, and it helps you really dial in the efficiency of your driver network. Now, if you remember, when you schedule an appointment in the appointment schedule dashboard video, there is a part where we say recommended on an hour slot. So it'll have this teal turquoise color that says, hey, this is recommended at this time, right? So that's recommended based on a radius distance in that hour. So let me explain this a little bit. Let's say customer 1 at 7 a.m. books an appointment. Then customer 2 calls and they're looking to book an appointment. If customer 2's address is within a 10-mile radius of customer 1, we will recommend that 7 a.m. time that customer 1 had booked. And that's a way where if you're managing your own driver network, you can actually have 3 or 4 people jump into one car in the morning and you can drop them off at customer 1, 2, 3, 4s all in the span of an hour, really helping you utilize your driver network to its fullest capacity. This distance is set at 10 miles because this is a more rural dealership. We do recommend you keep that distance at around 4 to 5 miles to really dial in your efficiencies for your driver network. So we've gone over here on this review, the overall dashboard, how to add users, how to manage your appointments, how to allocate rides, how to add firms, service centers, how to pull reports, set up your zones, and to set up your per services per hour. We really appreciate you checking this video out. If you need any more information about AutoThink, you can always call or go to autothinkusa.com/training, and all of these videos will be there at your disposal for you to learn and to keep reviewing as software updates change and as we add new features for you and your dealerships. We thank you very much for your time, and thank you. Have a great day.